Welcome back, Bible quizzing family. I brought my wife with me today to help me with this lesson. This is Bronze Lesson 1, and we actually broke it up into 2 different videos. The first video is going to be about how to learn a verse. Dribbling in Bible quizzing is learning a verse. It's one of the essential fundamentals to be able to do this ministry. So that's what this video is about. There are 6 basic methods to learning a verse, and we're going to share those with you today, and then hopefully you'll be able to find the one that works best for you and or your quizzer. All of our kids learn their verses completely different, so hopefully you'll find one that works best for you. So I'm going to cover the first one, which is the phrase 5 method, or you can also use what's called the phrase 10 method. And basically you're breaking it up into phrases. So the first verse is, "The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do and teach." Well, if your area code, if I gave you an area code, you're not remembering 3 digits, you're remembering one category. So my area code is 937. Well, most people that live in the Dayton area don't have to remember the 9, the 3, and the 7 differently. They just remember 937 as one category. Cincinnati's area code is 513. That's one category. So if I said 937, 513, you're not remembering 6 numbers, you're remembering 2 categories. And so, same thing. "The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus." One phrase. You just keep saying it. So you'll read it 5 times. "The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus." You could use a Bible. You can use your verse cards, which I highly recommend that you get. And then you can also use any of the other resources and tools, the app, in order to do that. Once you get that, you go to the next part of it. So, "The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began." Of all that Jesus began, and you just say each of those 5 times. You then combine the phrases, and then you work on the last one until eventually you have all the phrases combined. And the strategy behind this is that you've said each phrase so many times that you'll have said it 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and then that's when you'll finally have the verse. And when you can say the entire verse 3 to 5 times without looking, you've now mastered that verse. So, which leads us into the second method,
which is hand motions. And that's really helpful for especially beginners. I've noticed that a lot of seniors like to use it too. So let's keep going with Acts 1:1, since it's the easy verse right now. For that one, I would make a T for the, even if the kids can't read, they know that the normally starts with T. So I would say the former, like a 4. So they can remember former instead of going that way, because they might not know that former means like past. So I'd go, "The former treaties have I made." Nate that likes to do breaks for made. And then I'd do, "O Theophilus." So then we would do that again. "The former treaties have I made, O Theophilus." And we would keep doing that. We would even dance with it. And then you could even rap and rhyme with it too. Sometimes we do that. And you keep going about that. And we even have combined the phrase 10 method. So we would do that 5 times. We would even start reading it. And then we would do the hand motions with it 5 times too. And then you'll even know that as you go on, after you said the verse probably like a total of 50 times, you don't even need as many hand motions. But we found that to be very helpful.
So, and again, you can combine these. Like our son, he'll do a combination of the phrase 5. So while you're doing each phrase 5 times, you're doing it with the hand motions, which just deepens it into your memory bank. And so those are the couple that one of our sons likes to use. The next method he uses, and why don't you describe this? This is actually our daughter does very good. In fact, she's learned all of her verses with this next method.
Yeah, so it's called Word Song. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up on my phone. And all it is Denise Richards, right? Denise Richards, something like that. She sings all of the verses for them, and the songs are really catchy. Sometimes they're a little bit annoying, but it really does get into your head. And she says it over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where all I have to do is kind of hum like the first part of the verse, and then my daughter just starts singing it. And that's what a lot of the seniors do too. And we found that that is very helpful. And sometimes Nate will even rap a verse or 2 for the kids. And even if they feel like, "Oh, I can't ever get this verse," as soon as Nate raps it, then they start rapping it, and then they've got it. So Word song, very helpful.
BQ songs is also what we discovered is for the seniors. They now have music for the seniors, which covers all of the verses that the seniors would learn. So the next method, so this is method number 4, is the subtract a word method. And this one is really good if you're a personal coach or a new parent and you really want to give some support to your quizzer. This one provides the most support to the quizzer, and that is this. You basically say the whole verse, and then you say the whole verse, but you subtract a word. So, Acts 1:1, the former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do and teach. The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do and
teach.
The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do
and teach.
And you continue to take away words until they can finally say the verse a few times, 3 to 5 times, without any words. An alternative to this, and this is something that a quizzer can do on their own, is if you have a chalkboard or if you have like a whiteboard at home, you can write out the whole verse, and then every time you quote it, erase a portion of the verse. And so, or you can take away the beginning word too. So you can take away from either end, and then until finally there's no words left, and then you can quote the verse again 3 to 5 times. And that's just a subtract a word method, which works well for a lot of people too. So speaking of writing down the verse, that leads us to the 5th method.
Some quizzers actually find it really helpful to write the whole verse out and to write it out several times. I feel like that would get a little tedious, but it's something that goes along with the subtract a word, except for you just keep on going. I know a couple quizzers that say, hey, before I go to bed, I will write all of my verses out. And then they don't need to do that so much as the year goes on. So that's the write a verse out.
And then the last method is called the memory palace method. And I actually just learned about this method this year, not too long ago. Apparently, this is a method that elite people that have to memorize high volumes of material use this method called the memory palace. And basically what you do is you create a story that you can almost visualize that represents the verse. So if you go to pages 7 and 8, you can kind of go through that. It's actually kind of fun. So I encourage you to go through this practice with your quizzer. But essentially, it's like I'm walking up to my house and I see one car with 8 monkeys in it. That's Acts 1:8. As I walk into my house, I see an electrician working on the outlet, and he looks up to me and he says, it's all repaired. Ye shall receive power now. And that is the first portion of the verse, but ye shall receive power. And so you continue. I went to the kitchen. I saw a toaster. The toast popped up and it was holes all over it. And it's the holy toast. So it's like, but ye shall receive power. After that, the Holy Ghost has come upon you. So just another method, but if you go through that story, it's pretty fun. So it's a fun way to kind of engage with your son, your daughter, or your personal, quizzer. But with all that being said, no matter what method you use, here's how I want to conclude this lesson on how to learn verse. I highly recommend that you get an understanding, help your quizzer. Now, obviously, if they're young, they're not going to be able to grasp some of the concepts. But even if you run into a word that you don't understand, look that word up. Let your quizzer know, like, what does this word mean? Because in the King James Version, there's some tricky words. Yeah. Look it up and have an understanding, a basic understanding of what the verse is. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, that concludes how to learn a verse. We'll see you in the next video with review.